If you're thinking about leaving California for Pennsylvania, this video is for you. We're going to be breaking down both states' cost of living, education, things to do, and so much more so that you know whether this is the right move for you or not. Hi there, I'm Corey Benhart, your Pennsylvania realtor. I specialize in helping people just like you make the move to the great state of PA to find their perfect home. All of my contact information is below, and let's get started. Starting with one of the major differences between these two states, which is the weather. Pennsylvania, of course, experiences all 4 seasons throughout the year, and besides the beautiful fall and spring seasons, we can experience the very cold, snowy winters and the hot and humid summer, with winter temps ranging from 25 to 40 degrees, and summer temps can range between 70 to 90 degrees, with humidity between 60 to 80% at some days. California is such a large state that the average temperature greatly depends on where within the state you're already living, but for the most part, California seems to have 2 different seasons, hot and hotter, but without any humidity. So if you're a long-term California resident and you haven't yet experienced East Coast summer humidity, I would highly recommend to come and take a trip, experience it before you really decide on making the move, because of course we are nowhere near the humidity levels that they receive down south, but it is quite a difference in the humidity levels between California and the East Coast. California can experience earthquakes, mudslides, droughts, wildfires, and more. Although Pennsylvania can technically receive tornadoes, hurricanes, and earthquakes, they are certainly not very common. I am born and raised in Pennsylvania, and there's really only been maybe 1 or 2 earthquakes at all, and looking back, probably only about 1 hurricane as well. Now let's take a look at the job market comparisons between these two states. Pennsylvania has a very strong economy in industries like healthcare, education, and manufacturing. Pennsylvania is home to 23 Fortune 500 companies such as Comcast, Rite Aid, Dick's Sporting Goods, Hershey, Toll Brothers, etc. The 2 largest cities within Pennsylvania, both Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, offer tons of different job opportunities in just about every type of job market and industry as well. California is an overall economic powerhouse because it is home to Silicon Valley, Hollywood, Disneyland, etc. It offers tons of opportunities in tech, entertainment, finance, and more. California is home to 53 Fortune 500 companies, with some of the largest and most well-known companies being Apple, Facebook, HP, etc. Truthfully, looking back over the past 5 years or so, California has seen a big decline in the amount of new companies opening there, and also the amount of companies that are leaving California for more business-friendly states. Before we get into the next comparison, keep in mind that we're going to be going over the highly anticipated taxes and overall cost of living comparison between these two states later on in the video. Next, let's compare the things to do in these two states, with the obvious being, well, you can't go surfing in Pennsylvania, but we do have snowboarding, skiing, ice fishing, etc. And in the summer, we do have plenty of lakes and rivers to enjoy all types of water sports, from fishing, swimming, boating, etc. Both California and Pennsylvania have some very famous shopping opportunities, with California, of course, having Rodeo Drive, and Pennsylvania, of course, having the 3rd largest mall in the country, King of Prussia. I might be a little biased, but I think that Pennsylvania overall has the more options on things to do, because there's tons of different things to do in Pennsylvania as the seasons change. Another important comparison that we have to talk about is education, not just public school education, but also college and universities as well. Pennsylvania is rated the 27th best overall for public education, and California is rated the 34th. Keep in mind that these are just overall statewide ratings. Of course, each individual district can greatly vary, but also keep in mind that there are multiple districts in Pennsylvania that are within the top 50 districts throughout the entire country out of over 12,500 total districts. Besides public school ratings, both of these states are pretty equal when it comes to higher education options, because both of these states are home to some of the most popular and most prestigious schools in the entire country. In California, they of course have Stanford, Berkeley, USC, etc. And in Pennsylvania, we have the University of Pennsylvania, Villanova, Carnegie Mellon, the Wharton School of Business, and so many more. There are tons of great colleges and university options if you have college-age kids, or if you're just thinking ahead, because keep in mind that in-state tuition is much more affordable than out-of-state. So before we get into the overall cost of living for these two states, which we'll talk about next, let's jump into the overall lifestyle between California and Pennsylvania. I, of course, have never lived in California, but many of my clients and many different people who have moved from California to Pennsylvania have told me that California, of course, depending on where you live within the state, has a very slow-paced, laid-back type feel, which is truthfully the exact opposite to most places in Pennsylvania. The East Coast is known to have that fast-paced, always in a rush type of lifestyle in some places on the East Coast and in PA. Of course, there are plenty of towns that are a bit slower paced and maybe not as crowded and fast-paced as others. Another huge difference between Pennsylvania and California are the taxes. Starting with sales tax, California has a statewide sales tax of 7.25% compared to Pennsylvania, which has a sales tax of 6%. For income tax, Pennsylvania is a flat rate income tax state, which means no matter how much you make, if you live in Pennsylvania, everyone is taxed at the same 3.07% tax rate. The California income tax brackets range from 1% to 12.3%, of course, going higher as you're making more money. If you were to try to keep the same income tax rate as Pennsylvania while living in California, you would be maxed at making $24,684, and anything over that for an annual income would of course have a higher tax rate than Pennsylvania, which is crazy to think that somebody could make hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars a year in Pennsylvania and pay the same tax rate as someone who lives in California and is making under $25,000 a year. The average home sale price in California is $784,989 compared to Pennsylvania, which has an average home sale price of $270,780. Of course, these are just averages. Both Pennsylvania and California are large states, so these average price points depend on what type of housing you're looking for, from apartments to townhomes, single-family homes, luxury, etc. And of course, depending on the specific area within the state, all the way down to the county, town, zip code, etc. When you're ready to make the move, I would love to help you find your perfect Pennsylvania home. All of my contact information is below, or you can click the contact link in the description below, and I'll see you over on this next video.